Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Eternal Life Plan. We are back to discuss Father Martins one more time because I got to be honest with you, Christine Niles floored me when she talked about what Jesse Romero was saying on Jesus 911 about Father Martins, to the point where it seemed like he was discrediting Father Martins, that he wasn't really a exorcist. And that really, really astounded me. And I asked Christine if she wanted to come back on to talk further about this, and she did decline. But I listened to the November 27th and December 9th broadcast, or I'm sorry, December 4th broadcast of Jesus 911 so I could hear it myself. And I got to be honest with you all, I was shocked by what Jesse was saying. And I'm going to play you some of the excerpts from it, not the whole thing. I am interested in to know if you did hear both of those broadcasts by Jesse Romero. And I'm not trying to disparage Jesse. Because I'll be honest with you guys, I've been a fan of theirs for a very long time. I've listened to many broadcasts of the Virgin Most Powerful over the years. I've donated to them, not a lot, a little bit. So I was really taken back what Christine had to share on Sunday night's video live stream about Father Martins. And one of the things that Jesse has always said in all of his broadcasts is that we're Catholics, we're called to be honest. And then he would quote Bible passages. What struck me about the November 27th video, which I'm going to play a little bit of it for you here in a minute, is he didn't read the entire statement that he got by Father Martin's superiors. He didn't read it. He didn't read the whole thing. Then on December 4th, when he talked about it further, he talked about it as if that this was new news and he was going to read the entire statement and didn't allude to the fact that he didn't read the entire statement on November 27th, which I thought that was curious that he didn't do it or he didn't clarify that. And I'm not sure if it was November 27th or December 4th video. He said that he had reached out to Father Martins, saying that a lot of Catholics have been emailing Jesse wanting to know if they knew anything about Father Martins and asking questions about Father Martins. And he said when he reached out to Father Martins to get clarification of his credentials, Father Martins just responded to refer them back to his website. And apparently, Jesse found that odd. Well, I don't. And here's why. This happened to me in my professional business. About 5-6 years ago, I was really gaining steam in the social media world with my sales coaching and training business. And so a prominent sales coach, I won't name, reached out to me in an email and asked me a bunch of questions. He said the very same thing that Jesse said, and that is salespeople are reaching out to him, asking him questions about me. Now, in my world, in the sales coach world, that just wouldn't happen. Salespeople aren't going to reach out to a prominent sales coach and ask questions about another upcoming sales coach. It just wouldn't happen. So he wanted to know, where did I get my certification? What am I charging for my sales coaching? What am I charging for my training? What am I training on? And I simply said back to him, first of all, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, it's none of your business. But secondly, I thought, why does he care about me? I'm not nearly as influential as he is. Why is he caring about me? And I sent him an email very similar to the email that Father Carlos Martins sent to Jesse. And I just said to this man, well, if they have any questions, just feel free to have them reach out to me directly and I'll answer any questions they may have. Well, he apparently thought that he was entitled for me to answer every question he asked me and went on this social media rant about me. This is so similar to what Jesse Romero is doing to Father Carlos Martins. For the life of me, I cannot figure out why Jesse has a problem with him and why Jesse feels like he needs to expose Father Carlos Martins. I don't get what's going on. Something's going on. Maybe Jesse felt like he was entitled for Father Carlos to answer his questions because Jesse's a big Catholic influencer. Maybe Jesse, has some sort of an ego struggle going on there, and felt he was entitled to know that. I thought that what Carlos Martins had said, or Father Carlos Martins has said, was exactly what I would say. And I did say when I had a sales coach, an influential sales coach, trying to pressure me. So I don't know if this is envy. I don't know what it is, but I'm shocked over the way that Jesse Romero is handling this. And that's what has me in a twist about all of this is why. In one of his videos, he and Kyle Clement talk about the small circle of exorcists. There's a very small circle of exorcists in the United States, and they all know each other. And apparently, Kyle and Jesse did not know about Father Martins. I don't know if he's insinuating because they didn't know about him that he can't be authentic. I don't know. But let's get to the first video, okay? Well, this is actually, hold on, let me share my screen. Is this the one? No, that's the December 4th. Hold on. Let me try this again. Okay, this video right here is the first one they did. All right, and I'm just going to play you the clip.
I asked you years ago, I said, hey, Kyle, is Father Carlos Martin, is he on your database? Is he an exorcist? And you told me, you said, no, Jesse, he's not an exorcist. And I said, nah, I think maybe Kyle just missed that one because he's all over the internet where he says he's an exorcist. I mean, he was interviewed by Lila Rose and Matt Fred and Joel McClay, everybody, he's an exorcist. So I kind of said, I think Kyle may be wrong on this one. I think maybe he overlooked it on his database. So I sent an email to Companions of the Cross. They responded to me. Here's what it says. Dear Jesse, in answer to your inquiry, Father Carlos Martin has not been appointed as an exorcist by a particular diocese. His full-time ministry is Bishop of the Church. Close quote. And so Kyle, you were right. I was thinking, I think Kyle missed it on this one. You had told me, he goes, Jesse's not. And now all I'm doing here is I am perplexed as a layperson because, Kyle, all of us are bound by the 8th commandment, bearing false witness. And to me, this is just fraternal correction.
Okay. Well, Jesse, you bared false witness because you didn't read the entire email. You only read a portion of the email. And I'm really confused why you did that. And and then let me play you the clip on December 4th. And I want to encourage you to go out and watch both of these entirely. Maybe you have, but I had not heard that Jesse was trying to discredit Father Martins. And like I said in the beginning, that just really threw me for a loop when Christine Niles talked about that. So let me play you the one on December 4th. This is just the audio on their website, Jesus 911.
Friday, and I'm well connected in the Catholic world, very well connected. I know a lot of people. I've been around a long time.
Jesse keeps saying how well connected he is.
I'm one of the old guard, and so a lot of people ask me about this person, that person. And a lot of people recently have been asking me about Father Carlos Martin and what do I know about him, since people know that I lecture on spiritual warfare as well, and I've also been trained by Liber Christo. Okay, I'm not part of the organization, but I've certainly been trained by them. And I have the benefit of talking to either you or Dan every Wednesday. So I have continuing formation. I've read Father's book, Dominion, Dan's book as well, the Liber Christo Method. And so I do understand the proper principles and norms of Catholic spiritual warfare as taught by the monastic tradition. I've interviewed personally Father Carlos one time. It was June 29th of last year on the Terry and Jesse show. There was a book that came out by TAN. It was called Father Gabriel Amort, the official biography of the Pope's exorcist. The author was Domenico Agasso, and TAN asked me a favor to interview Father Carlos Martin on the book. So this is the first and only time I've ever talked with him and never met him personally. And again, I think he's doing, from what I've been told, I think he's doing a wonderful thing with these relic displays and getting people once again to see the beauty and the power of Catholic relics, based on the Old and New Testament. And so in order to do my due diligence, what I did is I emailed Father Carlos Martin twice, got the emails. I'm not going to put them out in public because I haven't asked him permission, but I've got the emails, and I asked him, I basically complimented his work. And then I asked him in regards to his status as an exorcist, I asked him, Father, I want to represent you accurately when people email me. When were you given the mandate? By what bishop and in what diocese were you given the mandate? What year? And also, what school did you go and train as a student of exorcism, or did you just shadow? So I did reach out to him, and that's based on the principle of the Bible. It's called Matthew chapter 18, verse 15. If you got a question of a brother, you go to the brother directly. So I did that twice via email because I don't have his phone number. Well, Father Carlos Martin emailed me back, and he basically said, and I'm not going to share his email because I haven't asked permission. But if he said that if anybody wants to know about him or request information about him, to go to his website, treasuresofthechurch.com. And Father Martin.
And that was what I was referring to when I talked about this earlier, is this email right here.
Emailed me, and I wrote, and he wrote this. He wrote this on the email. He says, quote, this is right from the email, quote, I do not know you, have no professional relationship with you, and do not wish for you to feel calls about me. Close quote. So I emailed him back and I asked him, Father, if you're a mandated exorcist, I would just like to know so I can let people know this information when they email me. It's really a yes or no question. It's really a binary question. And so I asked him, if you're a mandated exorcist, I said, I know Liber Crystal, the guys that I know with and I interview every Wednesday, they collaborate with exorcists across the country. And I'm sure they would want to collaborate with you and refer cases to you. So he responded to me. And again, he just said, I don't give you permission to field questions about me or answer questions about me, and send them to my website. Fine. All right. So I emailed his priestly order, Companions of the Cross, and the email's floating around, by the way. Somebody posted it on the internet, so it's floating around out there. I didn't post it. Again, I'm just trying to respect people's privacies. These were private emails, but somebody got a hold of them and they put them out there. So that's fine with me. I got no problem with it. So I emailed his priestly order of the Companions of the Cross on 11/23 of last month. And they responded and they said the following. Here's what they said. I'm going to read the whole thing word for word. They said, "Hello, Jesse. In answer to your inquiry, Father Carlos has not been appointed as an exorcist by a particular diocese." See, that was my question. All I wanted to know if he had the mandate or the commission or the delegation or the permission from a bishop. That was my question. Okay. The email continues. His full-time ministry is Treasures of the Church. Okay, I know that already. The email says, here's what people are talking about right now. Here's the conversation in the Catholic Church that's buzzing. The email says, however, due to his travels, he has been involved in exorcisms with the appropriate permission and or by request of the corresponding bishop. Close quote. So my question is, what does that mean?
Okay, everyone. Curious that Jesse did not say in that broadcast that this is the same email that he only read part of in the November 27th broadcast. He doesn't even allude to that at all. He's acting like these are two different emails. And this is what's disturbing me. So Jesse is about always talking about saying the truth, but he's not being truthful about this whole situation and leaving out part of the email from the November 27th broadcast. I don't know. I'm really curious what you all think about this, because I'm trying to figure out why Jesse Romero, who I have had a lot of respect for, why would he try to cut off Father Martins at the knees? What is this all about? Is it because Father Martins wouldn't play his game and answer all of his questions? Father Martins reacted to that email Jesse sent him when Jesse was asking about basically his credentials. He reacted the same way I did to this sales coach influencer trying to find out all about me. I don't know. I didn't know him either. We had never met. I knew of him, but we had never met. So Father Martins kind of had the same reaction I had when someone that's of more influence is trying to get information about your credentials. Now, you could say, well, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Why wouldn't you just give your credentials to the person? Because I didn't know their intent, and I wasn't buying their story that salespeople were emailing him to find out about me when all they had to do was email me. So the same situation with Father Martins, I'm sure. We don't know the true intent of those questions. And Jesse said Tan Books asked him to interview Father Martins. So he already knew about Father Martins. He was just trying to substantiate him. I guess. I don't know. I don't know what this is all about. So I'm going to delve into some comments here because I'm trying to figure all of this out, and it's just fishy, folks. It just is. Okay, Jesse compared Father Martins to a citizen who rides along with a cop for a day and a person who identifies as the opposite gender. Yeah, that was in one of the I'm not sure which one, but it was in there. Anna Marie says, "Good evening, Christine." Good evening, sister. Patrick says, "Hello, Christine." Hello, Patrick. Hello, Lou. All right. The TV 1972 says, "I have not heard the podcast." Okay. And Lou says, "I haven't heard Jesse's podcast." Okay. So you two have not heard the podcasts. When we get done, I'll put the links in the show notes below so you can go back and listen to it if you want to. But I'm very confused about all of this. Jared says Satan has infiltrated the church and corrupted many Catholics. The big battle has begun. Father Martins was literally thrown under the bus. Yeah, Jared, Satan has infiltrated every part of the church. That is so true. And I don't get this. I don't get Kyle Clements and Jesse Romero thinking because they didn't know Father Martins was an exorcist, therefore he can't be one. I don't get that. Why they think they've got the corner of the market on that. I just don't understand that. Eileen says, "I heard the first podcast." Okay. Okay, I heard both. He said awful things. Would you mind telling me in the comment then, is it Deus, what you found the most offensive? Would you mind sharing that? Okay, Patrick McCoy says, "The timing of Jesse's detraction of Father Martins is certainly suspect. The person who should be answering questions is Jesse. Namely, what is his motivation for intentionally lying about this matter?" That's right, Patrick. I think, if I was going to say there are Catholics that lie, Jesse Romero would never come to mind. But now it's obvious that he is trying to, what's the word, cover up by not coming clean that on December 4th, when he read that entire email and said, "This is what the Catholic world is all in a buzz about." Well, Jesse could have read that entire email on December 20 or on November 27th. He's part of the reason this is all a buzz. He's partly complicit in that buzz. I guess he doesn't get that. Okay, especially doing this during a time when Father Martins can't speak publicly. That's a really good point. That's a really good point because Father Martins cannot defend himself because he's been suspended and he is being obedient. Some of you may not like me saying this, but he's being obedient, unlike Father Altman. Catholic Cristero says, "Where does Father Martin says he is an exorcist?" Well, in his podcast, The Exorcist Files, he reenacts these exorcisms. Now, does he say that he is the exorcist? Does he say that he's participating with an exorcist? I mean, those are questions too. I do want to show you this too. Let me share a screen. These are all of the endorsements that Father Martins has received for the Exorcist files. This is on his website. And Christine Niles also shared this. So Cardinal Raymond Burke has endorsed him. Here's all the exorcists, including Father Daniel Rehill, who I absolutely love too, has endorsed him. Here are the archbishop and the bishops that have endorsed him: physicians, psychiatrists, Vatican official, university professors, theologians, journalists. So these are all of the people that have endorsed the Exorcist files and his work. So, this is what is stumping me about this whole thing. And of course, Jesse Romero and Kyle Clement are connected with Father Rittberger. There's that connection too. And Father Rittberger, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'll just say that. Okay. Patrick McCoy says, there's no question that if the response given was that Father Martins is given faculties ad octum and Jesse withheld that, Jesse is himself guilty of violating the 8th commandment. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. He withheld that on the November 27th podcast. He only read half the email. Eileen says, Jesse did bear false witness against Father Martins. He did. Patrick McCoy says his actions constitute libel and civil law. Well, it could be. I don't even know if Father Martins could even pursue anything legal like that until he's been cleared. Patrick says again, the most shameful thing is anyone with a brain can tell it's all for views and clout. Exactly, Patrick. As if Jesse has a right to those answers in the first place. Yeah, that was my point. I mean, like I said, when it happened to me in my business, I thought, wait a minute. And believe me, everyone, I get all kinds of people that pose as clients just to get my pricing. So they'll pose as, interested in sales coaching and just to get my pricing. This is from other sales coaches that are doing that to try to get my pricing. And I make people jump through hoops if I'm going to have a personal consultation with them as a sales coach if I don't know who they are. Lots of my business comes to me as referrals. But, just like you said here, as if Jesse has a right to those answers. Jesse is always talking about how well connected he is in the Catholic Church. Well, I believe that, but that doesn't give you an entitlement position that anytime you ask a question, you deserve an answer. It doesn't. Lou says, this is just not a good look. Jesse is out of line, in my opinion. I agree. Nicole says he can't share the email, but he continued to engage in distraction. Okay, right. That's exactly right. Yep. And, Christine Niles got permission to share the email, which is why she shared it. But he didn't say that. and I'm sure he knew it. I'm assuming, but my guess is he knew it because Christine said she talked to him in a private conversation And she shared the email so everyone would know that what was being said wasn't true. Patrick says Jesse thinks he has a right to be answered because he's an ex-cop. There you go. And cops, current or retired, tend to be egotistical. Yeah, I'm afraid you're right on that one, Patrick. Jesse has done a lot of good work. It's very weird. I agree. That's why I'm so twisted up about this, because he has done a lot of good work. Why is he throwing Father Martins under the bus like this? Why is he being deceptive like this? This just astounds me. There will be another episode tomorrow. I hope Jesse apologizes. I do too. I really do. I doubt that Jesse's listening to this, but if you are, you need to apologize to Father Martins and come clean that, you didn't read the whole email on November 27th, which is what caused this whole stir in the first place. First, it was the pillar. Then it was Jesse Romero not reading the entire email. What I found most offensive, okay, thank you for answering me, was comparing him to a transgender citizen on a ride along. Yeah. Also, he is doing this when Father Carlos cannot speak publicly because the investigation. Exactly. Yep. I'm wondering why Jesse is trying to discredit Father Martins. It's a mystery to me too, Eileen. Yes, Stephen, we need to pray about this. This is not something we need right now, folks. Here it is, Christmas time. This is a distraction. This is not something we need right now. Several times during the video, I had the impression Jesse and Kyle were implicitly comparing Father Martins and Father Rippinger. I had that impression too. Thank you for bringing that up. As if Father Martins was somewhat less worthy or credible. It made me very uneasy. Yes, that's a good point. That's a really good point. I had that same impression. Sounds like Satan is working overtime to attack Father Martins via well-known Catholic influencers. Yep. Philip, contact Jesse and ask him to comment. Speculation only fuels scandal. I will do that. Honest question. How do we know when to believe allegations against a priest and not to believe them? Your guess is as good as mine, Matthew. I have no idea other than we're all spiritual beings. We're all connected to God. We're all connected to the Holy Spirit. All of us have a gut reaction to whether something is true or false. We all do, especially in prayer. Especially in prayer. We all need to pray that Jesse comes clean about this and apologizes to Father Martins, because like many of you have said, it's not fair because he cannot speak out. That crossed my mind as well. I don't think Father Ripperger would approve. I hope not. I hope not. I like your cute little furnace. Oh, thank you. It's my heater. I have 3 of them around my house because I have to keep the house cool for Husky because she gets so hot so I keep it around 65 degrees in the winter. And so when I'm in my office or in my bedroom, I have the heater on. And the two candles on top, they're from the Catholic company. They're the Advent candles that I got from the Advent company. So I always like them every year. All right. Anyone can ask a question, and a non-answer is an answer in itself and could be cause for concern. Well, I don't know about that, Stephen. It depends on who's asking the question, I guess I should say that. It depends on who's asking the question. When you email someone and you're now trying to substantiate their credentials and their credibility, that's pretty offensive. I mean, from it happening on my end, that was pretty offensive. Catholic Cristero says, I called Virgin Most Powerful Radio, and Terry Barber said, you're welcome to go on the radio show. All right. Thank you for hooking me up, Catholic Cristero. I'll reach out to Terry. Where I live, we have a Ukrainian Catholic priest who's been suspended because he allegedly hugged and kissed a 13-year-old girl from Ukraine and said she had beautiful eyes. That's really sad, Matthew. As I said on my podcast with Christine Niles, I had an incident in high school where and my dad was totally supporting the priest, where I stuck my tongue out at a classmate, and he came up to me and he pinched my cheeks and said, you're too cute to do such an ugly thing. And in today's world, he probably would have been suspended, Okay. Wait for evidence and investigation is all we can do. Luckily, with the Father Martin's incidents, there were 200 witnesses. That's a good point. There were 200 witnesses. The other thing that I really wondered about, the 12-year-old girl, we got to keep her in our prayers, because she may be really upset about how this all went down and did not intend that to happen. I'm not sure why the father got so up in arms about it, but he did. But the little girl has got to feel terrible about all of this. This priest was supposed to marry his son, but couldn't due to his suspension. Oh, wow. That's sad, Matthew. Patrick, I don't have anything against Jesse. I've heard him talk a little. He's a good Catholic, but right now he's doing a bad thing and he knows it. Yeah, I agree with that, Patrick. Like I said, if you would have put Line and Jesse Romero in the same sentence, I would have never, ever have put that together. And if he didn't, clearly you can hear in the November 27th podcast and the December 4th podcast, he acted like it was a new email, like all the Catholic buzz was going around and he's just going to read it all. Well, he didn't come clean about he didn't read the entire email on November 27th. And that would have been the right thing to do, in my opinion. You guys know that when I've reported something wrong, I come back right away and I correct it. So I don't know what this whole motivation is. Stephen says, let's not broad brush cops. It's not a question of being egotistical, but refusing to take what people say at face value. I am listening. That's a good point, Stephen. Adoring Fan says, when will Father Fulton Sheen become a saint? Well, God's probably already made him a saint. We just haven't here because of whatever fighting is going on about that. Mhm. Yeah, I think it's one of the main reasons for all this kind of rivalry. Very sad and disappointing. It is. It is. I don't agree. It's not unreasonable to seek transparency and confirm credentials, as we have seen many cases of fraud in the past. Sad to say. Well, I'm not saying that Jesse was wrong. What I'm saying is I can understand Father Martin's reaction to the question based on my own personal experience. That's really what I'm saying, Stephen. But then when Jesse wouldn't accept the answer, and pushing back and saying that, he's getting emails from Catholics about him, I personally, I would have just forwarded those to Father Martins. So that's me. That's me. I don't know why Jesse would have felt like it was his responsibility to answer questions about Father Martins to his viewers when Father Martins clearly said to send people to this website. So, that's just me. This whole situation is messed up and shakes my confidence in both parties. Too much detraction and calumny. I agree. Like I said, this isn't what we need right now. And, let me clear this up. The only reason why I came on to do this tonight was because of some of the comments in Christine Niles' video with me on Sunday. People were calling us liars. So I wanted to play those clips so that you could hear what Jesse actually said. And because, as I said, when Christine broke this news on my show, it really threw me for a loop. And so on Monday, I went back and I listened to the clips. And that's really why I'm coming out tonight to do this, is because I'm trying to give you evidence that what Christine Niles said was truthful. What she said was truthful. I think Jesse should not only apologize personally to Father Martins, but do it publicly. I agree, because many people have seen his videos and may still think Father Martins is lying about being an exorcist. I agree with that. No matter what happens on Jesse's show tomorrow, the best thing we can do is pray for all involved. I agree 100%. Envy could be. Christine, I was thinking, haven't Terry and Jesse become a lot like LifeSite News and Church Militant? Well, I was just having this thought, especially about LifeSite. When you when there's a void, somebody's going to fill it. So everybody criticized Church Militant for doing that kind of reporting. Now all these other Catholic newspapers and podcasters are filling that void. They are. They're filling that void that Church Militant dominated. But it went down because it wasn't ran correctly. And the new one is ran the very same way. That's enough said on that. There is Such a thing as being too inquisitive, questioning everyone and everything, and refusing to accept a sufficient answer out of dissatisfaction is unreasonable. Yeah, I agree with that. Michael says, pride is the root of all sin. Yes, it is. That's one of those habitual sins that drives me crazy about myself. I'm always confessing pride. Oh my gosh. The litany of humility. That's like my standard prayer every day. The truth fears no iniquity or inquiry. Okay. I hope most of all, the little girl didn't come out of this with horrible ideas about all priests. Yeah, I fear the same thing. She giggled, so she took it innocently. But then what may the father have told her and her friends? Yeah, that's exactly right. That was kind of my point when I got into that Twitter war with Melody Lyon on Thanksgiving Day. That we don't know what kind of reaction the little girl had. Did she go home excited about meeting Father Martins and she told her dad what Father Martins said and did, and her dad blew up? Did she go home and was frightened by what Father Martins did? I mean, I can't imagine picking up just a strand of hair and gently putting it back down, that would be traumatizing. And he was joking with her, and apparently he had made this joke many times throughout the parishes that he was traveling to. So it's we don't know. And some of the comments on my video with Christine Niles insinuated that maybe the dad was looking for a paycheck. Well, that could be too, blowing it up out of proportion, hoping the church would settle. Don't know. I hope not. It's just all alleged. Wasn't transparent, church militant, that is. No, it wasn't. Nope, not even to its own employees. Honest men don't go around questioning every aspect of everyone's life. Patrick, that is so true. In coaching, I tell the people that I coach, stay in your own lane. Stop looking around and seeing what everybody else is doing. Stay in your own lane. We don't need to know what's going on in everybody's life, nor is it any of our business. I don't care who you are. We're not questioning every aspect of everyone's life. That's a gross exaggeration. Asking about someone's qualifications or credentials is a very limited inquiry. Well, Stephen, I disagree with you on that. It's not a limited inquiry if you won't accept the answer. He referred Jesse back to his website. And then even when Jesse gets the answer from his superior, Jesse still isn't trusting that information. That's the real problem. He's still questioning listen to those two broadcasts. He's still questioning, even after hearing from his superiors, whether Father Martins is a mandated exorcist. And Jesse even goes on, and one of them says, notice that he says involved in exorcism. Well, does that mean he's an exorcist? He even questions the superior's language in the email. So that's going way beyond the scope. Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me." What would accusers say today if they saw children on his lap patting their heads? Oh my gosh, sister. Seriously, that's exactly right. He'd be an abuser. I mean, unbelievable. I listened to Virgin Most Powerful radio shows for a long time, but over the last year, I've become more uncomfortable with Jesse and his show in particular. Would you mind elaborating a little bit more on that? Because I would be interested in what your perspective is. Devil's handiwork, always creating chaos, trying to destroy good missions like the Relic Tour. Yeah, absolutely. And he's an exorcist. So you all know any exorcist has a huge target on their back. Oh, and that's what Michael just said. Michael just said that. Jesus says, remove the logs from our own eyes before we remove the speck in our brother's eyes. Yes, we ourselves are often our own worst enemies, not necessarily the world of peer pressure. Not necessarily the world of peer pressure. Very good point. I heard this show you're talking about, and I haven't listened to Jesus 911 since. Okay. Got it. Rod had an interesting article on Substack, smearing Father Carlos Martins, worth a read. I meant to go to his Substack and read that. I'm glad you mentioned that because that jogged my memory to look into that. Yeah, thanks for putting that out there. I also heard a show where Kyle Clement made a comparison between an adulterous relationship and the Norvis Ordo Mass. No kidding. Wow. You know, I've gotten emails from listeners that are asking me what should they do because they don't have a Latin Mass around them. Like the Latin Mass is 2 to 3 hours away. You know, I go to the Norvis Ordo Mass. I do because we have one Latin Mass. That's it in our city, and you can't ever get in. There is nothing wrong with the Novus Ordo Mass. As I've said in other broadcasts, I have been to Latin Masses where the priest has said the Mass so quick, you're wondering, where's the fire? And then I have been to Norvis Ordo Masses that were just completely reverent and sacred and just a pleasure to be at. So there's both on both sides. There's a difference between inquiry and questioning the very truthfulness of every answer when you have no evidence to refute the answers. Thank you, Patrick. If a person cannot give a straight answer to a straight question, that's a warning sign. No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm in sales. I'm a sales coach. If somebody doesn't give someone a straight answer, let me tell you what that points to. They don't trust that other person. It's a trust issue. It doesn't have anything to do with a warning sign. So Father Martins evidently didn't trust Jesse Romero to give him the information he wanted. I see this all the time in the sales world. It's one of the things that I train on over and over and over again. You have to be trustworthy and you have to sell with integrity. Because the first time That prospect doesn't owe you any answers whatsoever, even if they contact you. So it's not that it's a warning sign. It's a sign that the other person doesn't trust the one that's asking the questions. It made me so angry that I had to turn the show off immediately. Okay. If Jesse is opening this door of questioning credentials, then anyone can question all our dialysis priest credentials. Good point. Stephen, Father Martins and his superior gave a straight answer. Jesse chose to refuse to accept it, as you refuse to accept the reality of Jesse's bad actions. That's absolutely correct, Patrick. I mean, even in his September or his December 4th broadcast, he was questioning he was questioning the superior's language in the email. Stephen, just because someone is in law enforcement does not mean their motives are always just. It's a case-by-case situation with all of us. I have to say that. Thank you, Maria, for liking my longer hair. I do too. All right. I was in the ministry of exorcism for 4 years as a prayer warrior. Oh, okay. I met Jesse before and was really disappointed in his behavior. He seems to look down on anyone who isn't on Father Ripberger's team. Oh, that's an interesting observation. Thanks, Boss Ant, for sharing your perspective. Exactly, Christine. Boom. Thank you for saying what I've been saying for a long time. I'm not sure what I said, but thank you for agreeing. After Father Martin gets cleared, everyone that spoke negatively of him will look bad. Exactly. Father Ripberger disappointed me. Yep, Jared. Stephen, there's certainly no doubt you disagree with the very fabric of reality. Well, Stephen, there you go from Patrick. He's older and wiser, too. Sister Marie, sometimes it also depends on how questions are asked and the intention of asking them. People ask me questions all the time, but when they get personal, I'm not obliged to answer them. Exactly, sister. Exactly. Or if you don't trust their motives. Why would you answer questions if you don't trust their motive? What is your opinion of my beloved mission of the Divine Mercy in Texas? All right. Is that the one? I may be getting it confused with another one. I'm not sure. Is that the one where there is a nun that is getting messages from heaven? Is that the one you're referring to? One Neo? If I said your name correctly, if I butchered it, I apologize. Is that the one? I have respect for the TLM Mass, but I attend, I'm thinking you're saying the Novus Ordo. Yeah, I have respect for the TLM too. I grew up in the TLM Mass. I mean, when I was going through grade school in the 60s, all we had was the traditional Latin Mass. That's how I learned how to speak Latin when I was in grade school. I would prefer that, but like I said, there's no way possible I can go to a Latin Mass in Indianapolis because it just fills up I mean, an hour before it starts, it's already full. Eileen says, Jesse is always bragging about his association with Father Rittberger. Yep. Boss Ant says, Jesse is way out of line here, and I fear that he has really fallen into spiritual pride. Such a shame to smear the name of such a lovely priest like Father Carlos. Yeah, I agree. Like I said in the beginning, I was totally, totally blindsided by what Christine Niles shared on my show. And then when I went back and I listened to the November 27th and December 4th broadcast of Jesus 911, I was really, really disappointed in the way that Jesse positioned this all in his broadcast, and how in the November 27th one, he didn't read the complete email. And then on the December 4th one, he didn't even come clean about not reading the entire email. He acted like it was a new email that he was sharing because the Catholic world was all in a buzz about it. Rena says, I love Father Martin, Father Rittberger, Jesse, and Kyle. I just think they are all passionate about their own missions. I do too, and they should be supporting each other's missions. Maria says, as a K2 teacher, a parent was mad at me because I tape recorded a child who was acting the fool and destroying the lesson. I was at my wit's end, and the dad wasn't interested in his bad behavior. God bless you for being a teacher. Oh my gosh. I don't know how you teachers survive these days. Oh, let's have Jesse on to hash it out. I'll reach out, but I mean, I'm nobody in the Catholic sphere, guys. I'm a nobody. The Novus Ordo, and there are many that are equally reverent. Yeah, reverence first come from the heart first. I have seen many prideful attacks and attitudes coming from TLM people, including some friends. Ooh, boy, I could tell you stories on how I've gotten attacked by what I call the rad trads. For those who haven't heard these podcasts, the show is called War College. It airs on Wednesdays in place of Jesus 911. I actually learned quite a bit from the show. Hopefully they stop this. Who's on the War College, Deus? Because I've not heard of that one. Kate says the email has been confirmed. Father Martin's credentials. Jesse didn't get the answer he wanted. Father Martin's is a traveling exorcist. That's right, Kate. Stephen says everybody is a somebody. Well, except in the podcast world. I'm low on the totem pole. I'll say that, Stephen. And then Stephen says, we may disagree, but we are Catholic family. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. All right. I think I got through all the comments. Like I said, everyone, the only reason why I came out and did this podcast tonight was because of the comments that were left on my show with Christine Niles. And that's why I came forward, because some people were saying that Christine was lying about all of this, and she wasn't lying. So I wanted to bring the receipts and show you that she wasn't lying by playing excerpts of Jesse's show and showing you the endorsements of Father Carlos Martins. So I appreciate you all being on tonight. That's really why I did this podcast. You know, if I ever screw up, I always come on and I apologize and I make it right. And I hope Jesse will do the same for Father Martins, because as many of you have said, he can't defend himself. All he can do is watch all of this play out. So keep Jesse in our prayers, Kyle Clement in our prayers, Father Martins in our prayers, and just keep everybody in our prayers. Okay. Remember, eternal life is forever. Got a plan. Our plan has to be Jesus so we don't get derailed. God bless you all. I'll be back soon. And thank you for watching. I loved all your comments. It was good chatting with you. Bye-bye.